This morning we have a privilege of having Steven Trantham with us. Steven was a part of our youth group, graduated from Timberlake High School, went off to the University of Idaho, got involved with a church there called Resonate, and began to really grow and get established in his faith. And it's good to have young people who are still walking with the Lord come back and share what God has been doing in their lives. So Steven, come, let's give him a warm welcome this morning.
Yes, so there's a few familiar faces, but a lot of faces that I don't recognize. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself and then give you guys an update on what's been happening in my life. So I grew up not in a very typical Christian home, and like Pastor Kim said, came up through Timberlake High School. My family moved here from New Mexico just before I turned 7, and kind of come from a broken place. And so I was raised here from that point on, and I was invited to a youth group, having not been to church very consistently throughout my life here, my sophomore year of high school. And I'll be honest, the first youth group that I came to, I was not a fan of. They started talking about really serious stuff, and that was something that I didn't do regularly. And so I was kind of scared to come back. So it took a couple months, but some persistency got me back in the youth group, and I was met with love and kindness that I had never experienced before. I had this group of people, a lot of people that loved me unconditionally, and I didn't know any of them. And that was a shock to me, and God used that love and kindness of the people here at SLBC to open me up to hear the gospel for the first time. So I had grown up and had this recognition of God, and I thought, I want to be a good person, that means that I'm a Christian. But after some time here at SLBC, about the beginning of my junior year of high school, I realized that the gospel that was preached here was not a gospel that I had yet received. And so I was saved in the youth group here, my junior year of high school. Yes, praise God for that. And learned a lot. I was challenged by Christian to join the leadership team here at SLBC my senior year after I told him no twice because I didn't know anything about the Bible. He said, well, there's a way to fix that. Start reading the Bible. And at first I told him, okay, yeah. And the second time he asked me and found out that I hadn't changed anything about that, I was convicted and started reading and learned more and joined the leadership team. And for the first time in my life, got to feel what it was like to take part in the mission of God. A very minuscule part. I just kind of sat in on the meetings, but I got to see the behind the scenes. Then I graduated and went to college, and I started studying chemical engineering. And I'm sorry to say I did not continue in chemical engineering. But I switched my major my sophomore year after I realized that my pursuit of chemical engineering was much to the end of getting a big paycheck after I graduated college. But I realized that my passion was more in the world of education, and so I switched my major, and I just graduated this May with a degree in chemistry and a degree in secondary education. Wow. So I graduated Timberlake in 2015, went on to the University of Idaho, and I fell in love with a church body there called Resonate Church. Many of the guys that had graduated the year before me went down and told me all about it, and I was hooked from the get-go. And it produced 4 years of traveling different places, learning a lot about myself and my faith and where I want to go. And I decided after this past 4 years that I want to commit what I've learned in education and the things that God has affirmed in my life to go into vocational ministry with Resonate Church. And so I was hired on right after I graduated, but something else happened right after I graduated. I spent the last 6 months of school student teaching. I was a chemistry teacher at Moscow High School, which I loved and had a ton of fun doing. And then the day after graduation, I left the country. I went to China for 2 months. And so I can't disclose exactly where in China because we're on video here, but we have a long-term team in China that has worked there for the past 3 years. And I went and partnered with them. I got to go to school while I was there. I took 2 months of Mandarin classes, and sad to say I don't know a whole lot. It's a very difficult language. But I got to partner with our long-term team there and meet students. And I want to share 2 stories with you guys and then one big takeaway. So the first story, I got to lead the team that went there. So there's a few guys on our team, and I got to lead them throughout the summer and teach them what I've learned throughout college and meeting people and doing evangelism and discipleship. And we had the surreal opportunity to get to witness a brother in Christ be brought into the family this summer. And the story in itself is really bizarre, and it starts with our team that moved there originally. So they've lived there for 3 years now, and they've had one guy give his life to the Lord and being there. So they have faithfully been pursuing hundreds and thousands of Chinese college students, and only one so far had given his life to Christ. And this summer we got to see 2 more brothers give their lives to Christ. And I want to tell the story of one in particular. His name is Jansen. And in China, Chinese students from the point they hit junior high through high school are required to take English classes. And so they learn how to read and write primarily, but not many of them can speak very well. So part of the challenge of being over there and not knowing their language is they don't know mine either. And so it was our hunt every day and what we did to find people who spoke English. And one day we were praying before we went into a cafeteria. The easiest way to meet people, funny enough, is food. But we were praying that God would bring someone to us. We had spent about a week already at that point meeting people, getting shot down by people who didn't know English. And one particular individual who was actually a member of Spirit Lake Baptist Church himself, who came with me, he got to meet this guy named Jansen. We walked up to him and said, "Do you need help ordering food?" And if you guys have followed along so far, that's pretty big, because I was English and not Chinese. And so we were pleased to meet him, and he kind of showed us around the library on our campus, which is a really big, beautiful library. And when we were walking through the library, he turned around to us and said, "Are you guys religious? Do you have a religion?" And China's a closed country, so you're not supposed to talk about it in public. You have to be careful where you say things. And so we were like checking around, yeah, we're religious. And he said, "Are you Christians?" And we said, "Yes, we're Christians." And he said, "Me too." And for a second we were kind of taken aback. What do we do about this? Should we run? Because this conversation's getting somewhere it may not need to be in public. But delighted to hear that he had said he was a Christian. And so this relationship progressed throughout the summer. And after a few weeks of being there, a member of our team got to share the gospel with him and found out very quickly that he had never heard the gospel before. He had claimed to be a Christian because he had a time in his life where he was very kind of broken down emotionally, and some friends of him told him that God loved him. And that was enough for him to say, "I'm a Christian and I want to be a good person." But for the first time he got to hear the gospel of Christ. And the next day we got to open up the Bible with him and show him the gospel video in Chinese that we had equipped with us. And he received Christ on that day, which was amazing. And it was, I really believe, was a product of the 3 years prior that our long-term team had been praying for people to come to Christ, and we got to experience it. And the second one, if any of you guys have followed what's been going on in China with the Christian faith and just religion in general, the Chinese government has a big sanction around what people can believe and what they can learn. And right now in the north, specifically in China, there's groups of people that are of Muslim traditional belief that have been being placed into re-education camps to learn what the Chinese government wants them to learn and kind of take them away from their tradition. And there was a girl on our team that got to meet a girl from the Uyghur people, which is one of the Muslim groups that's up there. And she got to share the love of Christ with her as well. And she is not yet accepted, but was so excited about it. She plans to take the gospel back to her people this off season. Their summer has just started, to tell her family about it before she dives into the faith herself. So an amazing reach that we've gotten to have, and just being over there. We were there for 2 months, and the big takeaway I want to share with you guys is that all the people that I met there, the long-term team that we have there, and some other missionaries that we met that have been there for over 15 years, and all of them were very, very normal. They're very normal people, just like any of us. And I was expecting to go and kind of meet like superheroes of the faith, and that's just not who I met. Some of them were boring, some of them were quirky, some of them were exciting. They were all weird, just like all of us. And the reason I tell you that is it was an eye-opening thing for me, because when Pastor Kim sits up here and tells you need to be a missionary to your coworkers, to your neighbors, to the person you meet at the coffee shop, what he means is that we all have the capacity, and we were all told that we should be sharing our faith. And so I hope that that is an encouragement that every single person that is a Christian is to be a missionary wherever you find yourself, and to share that faith, and that you are no different from the person that is overseas in a close country. So I learned some amazing things this summer, and I've seen God do some really cool things. I also got on a knee and proposed to my girlfriend, who is now my fiance. And I've been back about 2 weeks now. I spent the first week back with her and her family in Sacramento, where they're from. And I spent this last week, I was just hired on by our church. So I plan to go into vocational ministry. I graduated with a degree in chemistry and a teaching certificate and a degree in secondary education. And as of right now, I'm using none of it. But maybe in the future, it'll come in handy, because I plan on going into vocational ministry with my church resume in Moscow. And with that comes, I have to build a financial support team monthly. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, but if you're interested in learning more about what our church is doing and what I'm doing, I'll be around after service and can talk to you guys about that. But I just want to say that I've been wildly encouraged by the support that I've received from this church, and really the life that I've been given because of the gospel presented here. And I hope that you guys can feel encouraged by the stories that are told, the people that lead, but also know that you guys have the gospel with you, and that is to be taken to everybody here in Spirit Lake and everywhere we can reach beyond. So thank you guys.
Right on.